Hello everybody, welcome to another scrapbooking video. This is Jayma Malme, and in front of me I have my daughter's 1-year album. Now I recently did this layout, you might remember it, and so I pulled out this album to put it in, and I was flipping through some of the pages and realized that I have quite a few blank pages, and I actually had this photo just tucked in here because I knew it was going to go there. But that's as far as I got. Now, when my daughter was a baby, I did a lot of pocket scrapbooking because it was fast. So I do have this pocket scrapbook on one side, and then I'm gonna have a traditional 12 by 12 on the other. So in this album, I've got a lot of mixes of 12 by 12 and pocket. So I have some more photos here. So I'm gonna try to work through this album and finish up this first year album. The tricky thing is the pocket pages, because when you have pocket pages, you need to have the same orientation, the same photos on the back. So I think I'm pretty good. I might have one missing. I do have one missing right here. So I do need a 12 by 12 layout there. And then I have a few other pages in here too that I need to fill. So here's another pocket page. I love this. This is like one of my favorite pages. And then I need to do the back of this too. And then I've got these. So I probably will fit some of these over here. But a little tip that I learned from Chelsea, if you mix the pocket pages with 12 by 12s, is that if you don't have the photos to go on the back of the pocket page, to cut up a pretty patterned paper, like one of those that is just so pretty you don't want to use, and then cut it into the sizes here. So you've basically got a whole piece of patterned paper on the back that is pretty to look at. So that's a little tip if you are scared of getting stuck with pages like this. But back to the project, I'm going to be scrapbooking this one photo here, and it's perfect because Close to My Heart just came out with 2 specials. Look at these colors together. I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect that I had this to scrapbook. So this is the For Always collection. This is part of a Bring Back My Pack. So this is the pieces I have left over from the older collection, and every so often they bring back a pack that was popular, revamp it just a little. I don't think they did a whole lot to this, and then bring it back. So this is the old one again, and it is going to be so perfect for this, along with this Melon paper. So this is part of the Melon Mania special that's going on, and it is a lot of melon. This is a little too much melon for me all at once, but I want to use it as an accent because it matches my daughter's little jacket there. That is like my perfect, or my favorite outfit that she ever had. And look at her little hands. Oh my gosh, I just love this photo. Okay, but this is going to be the perfect accent, right? So I've got all these patterns in the Melon Mania, and then just to show you, I have to show you the cardstock, because how cute is this foil? Like, this is, I hope it's catching. It's like a holographic silver foil, and then this one is just a regular silver foil. So hopefully you can catch the difference. This one, it's got like iridescent holographic kind of look to it. It's really cool. And then there's the gold foil, which is really fun. And then there's a bunch of regular cardstock, and then some UV coated cardstock. So it's just like a clear coating on there to give a subtle shine on a few of the pieces. And then there's a sticker sheet too that will be good for accenting this layout. So I am going to be scrap lifting my good friend Julie Carriere. And if you are familiar with Julie, you know she is the master of flowers. So I can't scrap lift her without doing some amazing flowers. She just has this touch to make them dimensional and 3D and realistic looking. So I'm excited to try that. Now this is part of the creative design team's collaboration all week long, where we're scrap lifting each other and having lots of fun doing it. So I hope you'll check out everybody else's videos. I will have that playlist listed at the end. So I was checking out Julie's Instagram and trying to find what I want to scrap lift. She's got so many amazing layouts. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to dig deep and I'm going to search on Pinterest. So I searched her name on Pinterest, and let's see what I found. So here we are at Pinterest, and I do have some scrapbook inspiration on my homepage because Pinterest knows that that's what I like. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about finding inspiration. So let's say you're looking for a scrapbook layout idea. So you're going to search for scrapbook layout, and there are so many ideas here. So first of all, I'm going to find something that catches my eye. And here's one from Julie. So I'm going to click on that. I know her flowers anywhere. And I've seen this layout before, so I know it's hers. And it said Julie Carriere here in the corner. So when you see a little icon here, and it's also up here, you know that this is going to link you to this URL that you see, and in this case it's Julie's blog. So I just want to point out that when you're finding inspiration, and if you're going to share it in a public place like on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or anywhere, to give credit to the original creator. And I think it's easy to say like, oh, I found this on Pinterest. Well, Pinterest didn't create the layout, did they? So Julie created this, and we need to give credit to Julie for being the artist, not to Pinterest. You can say that I found this layout from Julie on Pinterest, because Pinterest is a great avenue to find inspiration. But I just wanted to point that out because I think that that kind of happens a lot. So anyways, instead of searching for scrapbook layout, I'm going to type in Julie Carriere and see what pops up. So first off, I see this. That would be a great layout for a single photo like I had. So let me click on that. Now, not all images actually have a link to the original source, but this one does. And so I'm going to click on it to take me to her website. And look at, we have even more inspiration on her website. So Pinterest is also a great way to find new creators that you love and you want to follow. And I can take inspiration from all of these. I really am liking this wreath look. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I might, bring in some of the elements from this one. I like the bright colors for summer from this. But I am going to have to do more 3D flowers because that's what Julie's known for. So I'm going to do some shaping to my flowers. The other thing you can do when you find someone on Pinterest and get to their website is you can see that she's got Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook over here. So you can follow in all of those places so you don't miss any inspiration from this creator that you just found. So I went back to the scrapbook layout search, and I want to show you another example here. So this is a really cute layout, but there's no name on it. There's no link to a website. I have no idea who created this and who to give the credit to. So if you click this, it just takes you to view the image larger. It doesn't take you to a website or anything. So that's just, something I want to point out to those of you who do create and share online, the importance of adding your name on it with some sort of tool where you can add your name, a watermark, something like that, so that if you do find yourself with your images on Pinterest or anywhere else, there's some way to know that it's yours so that people can give you credit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hop into Design Space and create my layout inspired by Julie's. Here we are in Cricut Design Space, and I've already done a bit of playing around. The first thing I did was decide on my wreath. I pulled in a whole bunch of wreaths and was trying to figure out the look that I was going for, and realized I really didn't want the real leafy look with my photo. So I had first tried all of these ones. I really like this one, but with a different photo. I didn't like it with my photo. And then this one was just a little bit heavy. So then I found this geometric shape, and I really like that look. I decided on my title. If you remember, her hands were spread out in jazz hands, so I tried a couple of different fonts, and I used my go-to software, which is wordmark.it, and it goes through all of the fonts I have on my computer, and I can choose the ones that I like. So if I go back to all fonts, I can type in what I want it to say, and then I can see what it looks like in each font. I'm kind of a font nerd, so I do this usually for every layout that I do when I'm going to be cutting it with my Cricut. So you just click on the ones that you think you might want to do. I already have a bunch selected, and then go up to filter, and then you can see what those are going to look like. And then I tried each of them in Cricut Design Space. So these are the two that I liked the best, and I do think that this one would look good. It looks good with this geometric shape, but I don't like it with the flowers as much. Now I'm not going to use these exact flowers. These are just placeholders because I'm going to use some of my dies, and I was just testing out the colors and placement a little bit, and then the leaf I'm going to be cutting out with dies too. So these are just for placement, and I don't have them exactly how I want them. I mainly want to cut out this wreath shape and this title. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll go to my desk. Okay, so I've got everything cut. I ended up cutting both titles because I still couldn't decide. And when I actually held them up on here, I do really like this, but I think the jagged edges with these jagged edges, I don't know, it just was a little bit too much for me. And now that I have this down, I'm thinking I might want the letters to be in black, but I'm going to hold off on that until I get more of the page put together. So this background page, because Julie had a frame style layout, I'm using this pretty paper from the For Always set. I really like how that looks. Of course, I will gut it out so I don't waste any of that in the middle. And I'm thinking that I want just a very small, like 1/16 of an inch border between those two. I think that makes it pop a little more. And actually in Julie's examples, she had a double mat too. I wasn't going to do that originally, but I do think that that melon really makes this pop. So now I need to decide my mats. So I was thinking maybe I could mat my photo in the melon because it's a dark background, and then we've got the melon here, but it just didn't make it pop enough for me. So I'm going to go back to my go-to white mat, and this is just a 4x6 placeholder card, so I need to cut a mat, but I just wanted to test it. And then I might do the same thing as this with the little bit of melon and then a little bit of black. I like that, and I could even use this same pattern. I'll use what I gut out of there, but just to see what it looks like. I think that would look really nice. Add a little bit of pattern. But let me actually try something. I want to pull in this pattern here and just see. It might be too much, but because of the stripes in her little sweatshirt there, I think that might be fun. It's too much with this. So if I go back to maybe just the plain black mat, let's see how that looks. I kind of like that. I thought it was going to be too much because, and I, you know, I typically don't want to use this kind of specialty paper as a mat because there's not a lot showing. But I think in this case, it actually makes a nice impact. If I do a skinny border with the white, a little bit more showing maybe with the specialty paper, and then a skinny border with the black. I kind of like that, you guys. What do you think? Maybe a little bit more black. I think I like that. Okay, and then I can bring in, I want to bring this paper in a little bit more since I have it in the background, so I can bring that in my flowers, and then maybe this or just the cardstock. Maybe the this cardstock for some of the flowers, so it just has a little bit of subtle pattern. I don't want to have too much pattern, especially since we've got this as kind of a wow factor. But I might bring in some of the foil elsewhere, so I just need to cut some of the flowers. I chose these flowers from the Layered Flowers die set. So this is the die set, and I got these flower choices from one of Julie's other layouts, the Sweet as Honey layout. She used these two flowers, so these layer on each other, these layer on each other, so I'll just stick with two flowers And then the leaves, I might just stick with these leaves, but I brought this one in just in case I need a little more solid leaf, because this is kind of wispy with smaller leaves, and then this is a little more solid, so depends on, you know, what I need as filler. And then for greens, I pulled out these 3 greens to see what would look best with the melon. That could look okay. I actually really like this. I like the brighter green with this melon, not liking the green apple. So I think I'm gonna go with this brighter green. This is the avocado. So I'll do my leaves in this, cut some flowers, and then we'll be back to a symbol. Okay, we are coming together quite nicely. I've arranged my flowers. I just cut out a whole bunch in those ones that I showed you. And I wasn't sure if I'd want some mixed white and black and melon on top, but I ended up liking melon on the top layer for all of them. And then some of them have a white background, some of them have that lacy black background. And then I did also recut this, and I think that looks so much better. It really pops. And then I also cut the offset to be just a little bit smaller so that there wasn't as much white space around the letters. So this is just a text like I showed you with an offset to give it that background. And I'm going to split it on 2 sides here. I switched the photo. I originally thought I'd want it over here so that the title could have this blank space here, but I wanted that blank space to be able to overlap some flowers. These are not glued together yet or formed yet, so it looks a little bit messy, but we'll straighten that up. But I didn't glue anything down because I want to do some splatters. The splatters is where I'm bringing in that silver foil look that we have in the photo mat. So I'm using my Quicksilver paint pen and making a puddle of that paint on my all-purpose mat, and then I'm just picking it up with the paint pen and splattering it. I tested it on that little scrap paper first, and I'm doing this on the centers of the white flowers and then also on the background of my layout as well. I'm also going to do some black splatters, and so I'll do that in just a moment. I'm trying to be really careful not to get the paint splattered everywhere. So with this technique, this was actually a technique that was taught in the Hey Handsome workshop kit. So if you use Close to My Heart's scrapbooking workshop kits and the card making workshop kits, they always have a featured technique. And so this was a really fun one. So I've got that splattered where I want, and it's hard to pick up on camera, but I'll hold it up close when we're all done. Be sure to clean it up right away because even on this all-purpose mat, it's hard to get up once it dries. And then for the black, I didn't want any sparkle in this, which I know is really odd for me. But first I tried the re-inker with the fan brush, and using the fan brush for splatters is something that I learned from Julie because it makes a really nice fine mist. But it was getting to be a little bit too fine for me, so I tried a different brush, a small round brush, but still small. And it was still just a little bit too small of splatters. So I ended up adding just a tiny bit of water using a larger round brush, and that was perfect. So now I'm going to take it, whoops, I almost got it into that ink. I'm going to take it over and splatter it in the spots that I wanted it on my background layout. And I'm liking how this turned out, and I am so glad that I did this before I glued everything down because the splatters kind of went all over. And I did the same on those 3 white flowers. These are just going to pop through some of the other flowers. Now I'm going to do some inking because Julie is so good at adding dimension and making her flowers look realistic. And I like doing this to my die cuts too because it's a real easy way to add some extra dimension to your leaves and flowers, just inking around the edges. You can use a blending brush, or in this case I'm using a foam blending tool and just going around the edges and then kind of brushing over the top as well. Now here's another technique that I learned from Julie on paper flower shaping is to use the round end of your bone folder and kind of go along each petal to curl it up, and then in the middle as well to kind of give lift all the way around. And it's kind of like magic. It just like kind of curls those fibers in the paper, and even when it's in your scrapbook layout, it'll flatten out a bit, but it does give nice dimension. So loving how this is turning out. Now I'm going to move on to the smaller flowers. They're a little bit harder because they're sort of just like a circle, but I'm sort of doing the same thing. And with the ones that have the white, where I did the spray paint, the paint splatter, they were smearing a little bit when I went over them with the bone folder. So I'm being more careful with those and just curling them with my fingers. And it also helps to just kind of go around the edge. And then I'll do the same thing with the leaves. The leaves curl nicely with the bone folder, and you can see that dimension here, hopefully, the difference that it makes. So I just went both ways with the bone folder and gave them a little curl. Same thing on these little leaves. So I did the rest of those off camera, and I wanted to show you how I glue these down once I get everything in place. I'm very careful and just kind of lift things up and try to keep them in the place that they were the best I can. And some of the flowers I'm giving some dimension with 3D foam. This is actually the thin 3D foam tape. I like that because it gives a little dimension, but not too much dimension. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'm not going to do this all on camera, but just wanted to show you how I go about making sure that once I get everything perfectly placed, it stays perfectly placed. So that one is on foam tape, and then these leaves I'll just kind of stick under there. I also took a picture of this before I went and added all the inking and everything, because I had them in place dry fitted in the beginning, remember? And then I went and did all the inking. I had taken a picture so I remembered where everything was placed. So I actually do that a lot. Now I'm just adding a little bit of ink blending very softly behind the title just so that it pops a little bit. And this is actually going to form kind of my third point of my visual triangle as well. It's just kind of a small embellishment. I turned to this Melon Mania sticker sheet for some little hearts. The little hearts were the perfect accent for this page. Once I added all the hearts I wanted, I added my title to 3D foam. I thought I better get that stuck down, and it was really easy to add the 3D foam to the back of this with that offset. So got that in place. There's some little stickers over there too. And now I want to bring in a little bit more of that silver accent. So I have silver glitter gems here. And the bigger ones I like to tuck kind of under things because sometimes they're a little big on their own. But if I just partially tuck them under a leaf or a flower, I like how that looks. So I scattered those around the page. And then I decided I need a little bit of green over in my third point of the visual triangle over by the title. So I just added a little leaf, and it's one that was like cut off when I die cut it. So it worked perfect in this little spot. That's going to finish this off. Let me pull it closer so you can see some details. And I will also have still shots over on my Instagram and Facebook pages, which are linked below with all of the supplies that I used too. And I hope you'll check out Julie's channel to see all of her beautiful creations. I'm so glad I scraplifted this. And be sure to check out the rest of the creative design team's projects. I have the playlist right here on the right, as well as another video of mine that I think you might enjoy on the left. Thanks for watching and have a great day.